Let's try that again. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to your digital innovation with dinosaurs. See, I'm a dinosaur. You get it, the title of this workshop. I'm poking fun at myself, right? I'm kind of in that era where I could be defined as a dinosaur. And yeah, so I'm kind of like, I'm doing this more for my benefit than anyone else's, guys. You know what they say, the best way to learn something is to teach it. Well, there you go. And as always, guys, we'll be using the chat box function tonight. And there's lots that I want to learn from you guys as well. So as we go through, I'm going to ask for questions and answers and input into the chat box. So have that ready to rock and roll, so that we can learn from each other. I really want to learn some digital innovation tips from you guys as well. So without further ado, let's jump in, shall we? So as you know, we've been doing these webinars for a bit over a year. You can check out our YouTube channel. There's a ton of stuff over there. And we also have a Facebook group. The links of those I'll share with you a little bit later. Today's agenda, a brief history of digital innovation and evolution, reducing resistance to change, in other words, to adapting to these digital innovations, befriending innovators and early adapters, measuring your ROI, becoming digitally affluent, and starting your own digital innovations, and lots of suggestions from you guys as well. How did this workshop come about? Well, I recently was asked by one of the clients on this list here, hey, Luke, can you do some digital innovation training for us? And if you're a coach or a trainer, you know the standard answer is always yes, and then you go and figure it out, right? So this is my attempt at figuring it out, so that when we do that workshop for that client, they'll be very, very pleased and happy. So that's why I need your help too, guys. I hope that's cool. All right, so here's a real brief history. And the reason why I wanted to kind of start here, guys, is I think we forget, and certainly dinosaurs like myself, I think we forget how much we have evolved as a society, as a community, as a human race over even just the last 20 years, never mind the last 5 years. So let's just take a look over here at what we've got on the list here. Digital cameras, 1988. I remember I got my first digital camera in 1991, and I thought I was the ant's pants. I thought, oh, look at me with my little digital camera, and it was so cool. Only 0.05% of using the internet back in 1990. Then internet kind of really started to launch, the modem, Bluetooth in 1999, broadband finally in about 2000. Skype, remember Skype, which is of course the little brother to MS Teams. That's kind of where Skype started, and it evolved for that. Facebook, our friend Facebook in 2004, right? So now we're less than 20 years now, right, of what things have happened. YouTube launches with the founders releasing a video clip of them at the zoo. I've not seen that. I'm sure that's fascinating. The iPhone back in 2007, 3D printers, more Apple stuff. Bitcoin and cryptocurrency around 2011 was starting. Driverless cars and virtual reality headsets and so on. Now, I think there's quite a few things missing from here, guys, right? This is, I think, it only going up to about 2017. So tell me, in the chat box, please, write your answers. What are some other digital revolution, evolution, innovation that's happened just in the last 3 years? Pop those into the chat box now. What's something that's changed in the world that's kind of helped us out? One thing I can think of is Netflix. Like, I don't know how long ago that was. That seemed like it was only a few years ago. Yeah, Zoom. Look at us. We're on Zoom right here, right now. Google Meet. Yeah. What else, guys? Give me some more digital innovations, because there's actually so much that's out there. And the reason why I want to remind us of this is that we actually do know how to innovate. We do know how to process and adapt to. Yeah, a lot of financial tech, even just general apps, right? Did you know, according to the statistics that I checked, there are 5 new digital apps launched every 2 minutes. So I think it's something like 320 apps or something per day are being launched, right? So there's a ton of stuff that's like literally emerging, you know, daily, on a daily basis. Cool. So yeah, Grab, yeah, being able to use Grab and just call up a taxi. Grab delivery, my goodness, for home delivery, especially important during lockdown, right? So one thing is for sure, guys, is, you know, when we think about digital innovation, chances are it's going to be unknown and unfamiliar. So you've heard me talk many times before about the concept of the comfort zone, right? And what the comfort zone is really is what is known and what is familiar. Outside of our comfort zone is unknown and unfamiliar. So when any new digital innovation emerges, well, clearly it's unknown and unfamiliar to us, right? And then maybe we see an article about it and we thought, okay, we've kind of heard about it now, but we still don't know and we're still not familiar with how to use it. Now, with dinosaurs like me, we have this level of resistance around our comfort zone here, right? This level of resistance. And it seems to be the older that we are, the thicker that boundary of resistance, right? And because we have this false belief, this limiting belief that, you know, I'm too old, or I can't learn new things, or you can't teach an old dog new tricks, or however we make it up in our mind. And so the thicker that resistance is, the more we're going to stay the same. So what our job is, guys, is to basically reduce our level of resistance. Yeah. In last week's webinar, we talked about change management. Similar concept here today. We're just going more on the digital side, but these concepts are the same. If we want to manage change, we need to reduce our resistance to that change, because change is inevitable. Change is going to happen on a daily basis. So it's up to us to be more adaptable, more flexible, and to reduce our resistance to that change, right? So that as we reduce our level of resistance down and down and down, then of course what happens is our comfort zone, or what is known and what is familiar to us, is going to continue to expand and grow. And by the way, as you continue to expand and grow, that's where your goals are, right? That next level of success for you. That's where your growth is going to happen, your personal growth and your professional growth. That's where your next level of success is, whatever that is for you, right? And as we really think in terms of, you know, technology and digital innovation, we're going to find ways to save time, to save money, to be more efficient, to increase profits, and, you know, really importantly, to increase your quality of life. But put it this way, if you stay inside of your comfort zone, then you're not going to be able to enjoy any of those things that we just mentioned a moment ago, the internet, Netflix, Grab, and so on. So it's really up to us to reduce our resistance, to be more open to these changes that are happening around us. Yeah, I saw this little cartoon and I thought, yeah, that's pretty apt for us dinosaurs here. No wheels here, no technology, no. You see, people, you know, this is they're clinging to what is known and what is familiar. And well, as we can see, that's not going to help you into the future. It's not going to increase the quality of your life. Now, I want you to please pop into the chat box for me now. What are some of the technology, some of the digital innovations that you've recently embraced after resisting for a long time? So what is something that was kind of out there and then you resisted, and then you resisted, and then you resisted, and then you finally went, oh, okay, I'll do it. I'll try that. I'll use that. I'll implement that. I'll try it on and see if it works. Can anyone share some examples with me, please? And as we get some examples, I'll tell you about mine as well. Yep. Okay. Using Facebook, right? So, okay. So you're putting it off for a while. So I can share that too. You know, Facebook, obviously, I think a lot of us use Facebook socially, but what about Facebook for business, right? Where you do paid ads and things like that. That was something that I learned maybe 5 years ago after putting it off and putting it off. Videoing myself. Nice one, Sylvia. Yeah, right. The camera. And we know if you're a coach or a trainer or you know, you want to share your valuable information, we've got to put it out there, right? And so filming ourselves using cameras and digital equipment and then being able to edit it. Yeah, it's some of these simple things. Shopping online, right? YouTube for learning. Yeah, so there are many times, guys, where we've put it off and we've put it off and we've put it off. And then when we do it, tell me, guys, when you finally stop resisting and you embrace it, you've done those things, guys. Tell me, how did you feel? Good or bad? Just pop your answer into the chat box. Do you feel good or bad? Awesome. Yeah, good. Good. Yeah, good. Excellent. But exactly. So this is what we need to remember. There are probably many times where you've had that experience where you've resisted, and then for whatever reason, and we'll look at some of those reasons why in a moment, you surrendered, you reduced your resistance, and you said, right, I'm going to do this. And I think 99% of the time, the results are either good or awesome. Yeah, either good or awesome. So I hope it's okay. I'll share a little personal story with myself. You know, for me, it was a couple of things that I can think of, similar to what Sylvia mentioned. It was doing these public webinars, right, in front of the little computer with the little dot and the little camera, as I'm looking at it right now. At the beginning of lockdown in March last year, you know, my business model stopped, which is face-to-face training in hotels, just went away. And so I chatted to my wife, Christy, and we said, let's do webinars. And I'm like, oh, webinars. Oh, what if no one shows up? What if I don't get it right? What if, you know, we have a blackout? And there was just all of these levels of resistance and fear that was trying to prevent me to do it. But we were in the middle of lockdown. We didn't have a choice. So we said, okay, let's just do it and let's see what happens. And I think at our very, very first webinar, some of which I know these faces I can see right now, I know some of you were at that very first webinar, so thank you. Wow, we had about 200 people on that call, yeah? Now, as I was getting ready for this workshop tonight and the content and all of that, I started to apply some of these principles. And I realized that one area that I was afraid of, or that I had not embraced, was cryptocurrency. And don't get me wrong here, I really don't know much about cryptocurrency, and I don't pretend to know anything. And I know it was something that I was wanting to explore and try it. And because of my resistance and the fear and all of those other things, I put it off and put it off and put it off. Well, 1 week ago, as I was going through this process, I bought some crypto, not Bitcoin. I'm not that rich, and I'll share the process that I went through to be able to make that process for me personally, guys. I'm not saying that crypto is for everyone. I know nothing about it. And I'm going to explain the logic and the process that I went through in order to do that. And I want you to start thinking about that too, is to be aware of where you've had that resistance in the past. Then when you've let that resistance go and you've embraced that digital innovation, whatever it was for you, what was the mechanics behind that? What was the difference that made the difference that made you decide, I can do this, yeah? So I want you to think about that, because as we go through, I'd like you to share, what was it for you? Was it out of necessity? Was it like you just decided? Did you have support from a friend or colleague? What was it that helped you push beyond your resistance? So give some thought to that, and then you can share that into the chat box a little bit later. So, you know, digital innovation, it's all about change, not just to become different, but obviously to become better. And we need to be mindful in organizations that we don't change a system or a process just for the sake of changing a system or a process, right? It's finding that balance between innovation and adapting, but also, you know, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. So you need to find that balance in your personal and professional life to, yes, we need to innovate, but not just for the sake of change's sake. Now, we talked about this last week in our change management webinar. Any kind of change, and when we're talking about digital innovation, it's a change process. So it is 80% in your mindset. And that's what I want to focus on mostly today, is adjusting your mindset to be more open to embrace the digital innovation when it's right for you. So let's take a look here. And again, I'm going to invite you to please share what your observations have been in yourself or in others when it comes to resistance to digital innovation. One of the big ones, guys, limiting belief. You know, that little voice inside of your head that talks all the time. I'm too old, I'm too old, I'm too old. Yeah, I'm too old to learn new things. I'm too old to learn this technology. I'm too old to keep up with this Gen Y or whatever letter of the alphabet we're up to now. I'm too old, I'm too old, I'm too old. And as a result, guys, we just shut down. And because of that self-talk, that limiting self-talk, anything that is like outside of what is known and what is familiar, we just put that in the too hard basket. It's too hard, I'm too old. So automatically, we don't know anything about it. It could be just a simple click, click, boom, and it's done. But we've automatically, because of our limiting belief, we've put it in the too hard basket. So this is a big one. We believe, rightly or wrongly, that it is going to be complicated, right? So kind of linking to the first one, we kind of think, oh, it's going to be difficult. It's going to be complicated. I'm going to have to go through all of these steps. Oh, I don't have time for this. It's too easy. Now, anything new, and I'm talking about anything, whether you're driving down a road that you've not been to before, when you're going into a new supermarket to buy some food that you've not been to before, it's hard because you don't know. It's outside and therefore it is unfamiliar and unknown. And so we feel a little bit uncomfortable, but it's okay. Have you noticed when you go to a different supermarket that you've not been to before, you can still get your groceries and you survive? So anytime that we do embrace something new, it's okay. It's not a bad thing. It might be uncomfortable for a little while, but then we get used to it, right? Just like any habit, any skill that you want to develop, practice and repetition. So when you get good at embracing this digital innovation, then you don't label it as being complicated. You just know it's a process, right? It's not complicated, it's a process. You just need to follow the process, step 1, step 2, step 3, and then you've installed it, you've implemented it, you're using that new system or process, of course, which should be designed to save you time. This is a big one. Resistance to digital innovation is people are afraid to look stupid, right, when they can't use it. I don't know if you guys have seen it yet. As I was doing some research and putting on the finishing touches to this today, there's this video of 3 lawyers having a meeting. And these 3 lawyers could be described as dinosaurs. And it's showing the Zoom picture, right? And one of the guys, he's got his face as the picture of a cat, right? You know how this app gives you the things? So this is this serious lawyers meeting, and this guy's got his face as a cat. And when he's talking, the cat's lips are moving. And they're talking about, you know, something lawyerish, something quite, you know, serious. And he's going, I'm sorry, guys. I don't know how to turn it off. It's like I'm not really a cat. I'm really here. So, you know, and it's just funny, but people are just afraid to look stupid. So rather than risk, showing to the world that we don't know what we're doing, that they will wrap themselves up in cotton wool and they'll stay nicely in their comfort zone, what is known, what is familiar, with that nice thick wall of resistance. So you just got to let it go, because you know what, guys, at the end of the day, no one really cares. They're so caught up in their own drama and their own BS and all of that kind of stuff, they don't really care. So we need to just get beyond what other people think of us, because whatever other people think of us is none of our business. That's in their mind. We can't control that. So better that you just do your best that you can with the resources that you have, and think about your own quality of life, knowing that as you expand your comfort zone, you're going to enrich your life with new experiences and meeting new people and new knowledge and a higher quality of life. Unfamiliar, unknown, right? We've kind of touched on that already. So that's, people are afraid of the unknown. People are afraid of what is unfamiliar. Now, what else, guys? Tell me, please, in the chat box now, what are some other resistances to digital innovation? And think about your own personal experiences, guys. Where have you noticed your own resistance with digital innovation? Pop your answers into the chat box, please. Yep, that others have done it and are better than I am. Yep. But guess what? It's absolutely valid. And there's always going to be someone better than me. There's always going to be someone doing more awesome webinars than I'm doing. So, we can't really control that. So we just need to let it go. When I don't know its value. Oh, nice one, Sue. Yeah, so it's true. We cannot kind of think of or predict or imagine the value or the ROI that thing, whatever that digital innovation is going to give us. Yeah, that's a great point. Give me a couple more, guys. Two more, please. What are some other? Yeah, risk. Yes. Inner fear. I'm a slow learner, shaky or shame. Beautiful, guys. All, and we've all had those experiences, I know. So yeah, building on what has just been shown there. Fear, I think, is a big one. Fear that it won't work out. Fear that I'm going to get hacked. Fear that I'm going to forget my password. Fear that, I'm going to look stupid, that, I'm a slow learner, that I have a lack of confidence. There is multiple levels of fear, guys. Yeah, I'm not sure, Mailu, I don't know. Oh. And so what it does, it keeps us stuck inside of that comfort zone. Yet they can't see the ROI on investment. And it's easier to do it the way that I've always been doing it, right? So that complacency that I think, or like that inertia, the inertia of doing it the same way again and again and again, right? Like a river flowing down the mountain will follow the path of least resistance. So our brain is kind of like that when it comes to doing tasks and behaviors. We have a neural network of how everything works. And because the body, the subconscious mind, is wanting to preserve energy, it likes to do the things that are easy for it to do. So by definition, guys, whenever you do something new, whatever it is, whether it's digital innovation or swinging a golf club or walking around a new supermarket, by definition, if you've not done it before, there is no neural network yet. In other words, those neurons that fire and wire together, the way that we develop habits, it hasn't been done yet. So it's like you're in the middle of the jungle, having to carve your way through the jungle down to get down to the river. So it takes a little bit of work, not because it's difficult, just because it's different, just because it is new and those neural networks do not yet exist. So what our job is as these dinosaurs, Our job is to be more comfortable with being uncomfortable and to be able to develop that skill to reduce that resistance, to be more open and embracing of the digital innovation. Because as you guys have already shared, when you resisted, and you finally did do it, the results were good, great, awesome, excellent, and so on. So we know there are so many benefits by doing that, by getting outside. Now, here's a couple of simple equations to measure the ROI on digital. No, you don't like that one, Sylvia? All right, okay. Lucky I'm just joking. All right. So I love this concept. Multiplying your time. You multiply your time by giving yourself the emotional permission to spend time on things today that will give you more time tomorrow. Let me say that again. You multiply your time. You get your ROI on time, where you convert 1 hour to 10 hours by giving yourself the emotional permission. This is the key word here. You give yourself the emotional permission to spend the time on things today, such as reading through the checklist of the things that you need to do to install that software or buy that thing or do that thing. We're talking about digital innovation here, right? So you invest your time knowing that when you give yourself emotional permission, and what do I mean by that? Like, oh, this is a waste of time, or I don't have time for this, or, oh my goodness. No. That's going to make the change process really, really hard, right? So when I know that I need to do something new, what do? I block time in my calendar. And then so when it comes to that day or that time, I know I've got all the time in the world, well, however long I've blocked in the calendar, to really focus on this new task or this software or this process or this system or whatever I'm doing. I give myself the emotional permission and the time to invest in that, knowing that when I do, I'm going to get my ROI on that time that I invest. And I can't think of any other clearer way to explain it in terms of, you know, achieving your ROI is to give yourself permission, clear the schedule, remove the distractions, do whatever you need to do, be a student, and be okay that you don't know. And then as you allow yourself that space and that freedom and that permission, then you just deep dive, right? And then as you allow yourself to do that, you invest that time. And then if you invest however long it takes, 3 hours, you want the goal that not only do you get your 3 hours back as a saving of time, but it's 6 hours, 9 hours, 12 hours and more, right? So it looks a little bit like this. You've probably heard about the prioritization matrix, where you've got important on the vertical axis and urgent over here. So urgency, how soon, importance, how much. The new one here, so it's kind of like a 3D model, is the significance, right? So how long will it matter? Now, in my experience, a lot of these digital innovations, again, whether it's a software or an app or this or that or whatever it is, when you spend that time on it in the beginning, in my experience, it's always going to give you an ROI, right? Even if you have to spend money on it, you're going to get your ROI. If you give yourself permission and you set it up correctly, then it's because, why is it going to be an ROI? Because it's significant over a longer period of time, right? Think about the Grab, right? The Grab app. At first it was like, oh, Grab, oh, I don't know, should I use it or not? Oh, I don't know, it sounds dodgy. Oh, they're going to siphon money out of my account. And so we resisted for however long, whether it was a day, a week, a month, or a year, however long it was. Then you finally did it. And then look, how often do you use it? You get food delivery. We use it to send paperwork and parcels across the city here in Bangkok over an exercise that took like less than 20 minutes to install on the phone, probably only 10 minutes. Is this making sense so far, guys? Yep. Whoop. So again, when you give yourself that permission, yes, you're going to invest time. And from time to time, you do need to invest money if it's a software or whatever it is. So very simply, guys, how do you measure your ROI? Are you saving time in the future, or are you either saving money or making money, right? And so what you need to do is, when you're planning to embrace this digital innovation, you can kind of think about, okay, well, here are the benefits, and then you can kind of map it out, because it's going to be significant over a period of time. And you can calculate how much time it's going to save you, how much money it's going to save you, or how much money it's going to generate. Yeah. So the math is actually quite simple. You just need to sit down with a pen and paper, and you need to calculate how long is it going to take you over here, and then roughly calculate how much return on investment you're going to get. Okay, so here are some benefits about digital innovation. So improved operational efficiency, 40%, faster time to market, 36, and the ability to meet customer expectations. So these statistics are from companies who actively embrace digital innovation. 84% of the executives agree that new business opportunities are emerging as their organization digitally transforms. 4 out of 5 companies have implemented digital transformation technologies. So they've got people actually looking for digital tools and techniques that they're able to use. 56% of CEOs say digital improvements have led to increased revenue. 39% of outperforming companies have fully created digital physical policies. And the last one there, let me move my little doodah here. Digital first companies are 64% likely to achieve their business goals than their peers. Cool. Now, I want to share with you quickly some of the digital applications that I've used in my personal life. And again, as I was building this little presentation today, I thought, oh, there's actually quite a lot. And again, maybe just as a quick reminder, I mean, internet banking. I don't go to the bank. I can't remember the last time I went into a bank branch. It just like, and have to wait in queue and get a number, and you look at the number and you look at your number and you've got to wait, 8 more people moving around like that. Google Maps. Whenever I drive anywhere, I'm using Google Maps always, 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 whether it's in Thailand or overseas or wherever I go. Now, these first ones are a few years ago on my website, and I used this function maybe for the first time about 5 years ago, is the live chat function. So, when you go onto a website and a little chat box pops up, it says, "Hi, how can I help you today?" When I first launched that, it increased sales 15%, right? So it took maybe an hour to install. It costs $20 per month. And so when I looked at that, I thought, okay, what are my projected revenues here? And well, clearly it pays for itself like 100 times over. Now, who can tell me, why do you think I was able to increase sales by installing this live chat function, guys? Pop your answers into the chat box. How do you think? What was I really doing here, utilizing this digital innovation? Why was that able to increase sales? What do you think? Pop your answers into the chat box, please. Yep, allows customers to contact you and give a personal touch. Yep, so personal touch. And yes, exactly. Yes, Jess and Siva, you got it. So when do people want answers, right? If people are thinking about buying a product or service, when do they want answers? Do they want it like now, or do they want it yesterday? Yeah, they want it right now. They don't want to wait 5 or 10 minutes. 5 or 10 minutes is too long. So with that live chat function, they're on the website. If they've got a question, they can type it in. And if I'm online, I'm going to answer immediately. Yeah. And so that's what people want. They want that immediate response. They want it now, and they want that personal touch. right? So if you have a business and you have a website and you do not have a live chat function yet, you better install one tomorrow. Okay, this one I also did about 5 years ago. So when people go to my website, there's a contact form. You put your name, you filled one out to join this webinar today. Well, all of those confirmations that you got and the reminders up until the event today, that's all automated. Back in the day, I would have to copy and paste and find the participants' email list and then put a dear Fred. And do you think that was time consuming, guys? Yes or no? Do you think it used to drive me nuts? Do you think sometimes I'd make mistakes and I'd call Fred Mary or call Mary Fred? Yes, right? So now, yes, there's a cost, and this isn't cheap. This software to do my basically database management, it's about $2,000 a year. But if I calculate how much time I save, as an executive coach, guys, I charge $1,000 an hour. So do you think it saves more than 2 hours of my time? Absolutely. So it's an easy return on investment, even though we think, oh, $2,000, oh my God, that's so much money. And oh, I'm going to have to spend all of this time. And it is time consuming to set it up. But guess what? Once it's set up, you set it and forget it. And okay, each week I will go in there and I'll update the invitation to the next webinar, and then I'll update the confirmations to those webinars. And I saw that the reminder that you received today was not updated correctly. And I looked at that and I went, oh, and I laughed at myself because I'm a dinosaur. And it's okay if you make mistakes, right? Because you learn from it. And then now I know to double and triple check it before I hit save, right? Now, these were all innovations that I had adopted, say, in the last 5 years. These last few that I'm going to show you now were just in the last, probably in the last year. Okay, think lockdown, right? Since lockdown, March 2020, these are innovations that I've adapted for myself and my business. Now, we all use WhatsApp or Line or a version of that. Well, in the corporate trainings that I do, the webinars, the leadership programs, the coach training programs for organizations all around the region, we did something really simple, which was set up a WhatsApp group. So usually with my virtual workshops that I do now, they're spread out over 3 or 4 weeks. And they'll have some pre-study videos, we'll have some live webinars, and then generally we'll do some group coaching or something like that. So it's a nice engagement of 4 to 6 weeks. Clients love it. What do you think one of the things is they love the most? Is this WhatsApp group support. So what I do is I just put all of the participants in the WhatsApp group, and what does that do? It increases the participant engagement. So they ask questions and I give answers, and they share success stories. They put little smiley faces and they do little thingies and doodahs and emojis and all of that kind of stuff. So with that increased participant engagement, when it comes time to fill out their evaluation form at the very, very end, it's going to be higher. And if the evaluation scores are going to be higher, the big boss or HR and L&D is going to go, I wonder, should we do business with Mr. Luke again? And of course, the answer is yes, right? So what sounds, maybe basic like a WhatsApp group has real financial benefits, because I'm getting repeat business again and again and again by providing this additional service using technology. All right, next one. Wow, Zoom, say no more. Look at us. Look at us zooming away. It's so easy to use, and because of that, we're doing webinars, we're doing courses. Now our customer reach, we've got people here from Bangladesh on the call today, Malaysia, Singapore, all over the place. So that's pretty obvious. Now, Microsoft Teams. Who here likes Microsoft Teams? Just put a yes in the chat box if you like Microsoft Teams. Yeah, not many people like Microsoft Teams. Not when you compare it to Zoom, right? Zoom is so easy. And gosh, at the beginning of lockdown last year, I resisted Microsoft Teams and I resisted Microsoft Teams, and I said, it's difficult, it's hard, I don't like it. And then our customer said, well, Luke, we don't allow to use Zoom because it has internet security issues. You must use Microsoft Teams. And I said, okay, I'll use Microsoft Teams. Thank you. And then, so what did I do on the weekend? I installed Microsoft Teams, which you'd be surprised how difficult that was with all these MS Microsoft accounts and all of this rubbish stuff. It almost took me like a full day over the weekend. Anyway, I got it installed. I was patient. I gave myself emotional permission. I blocked my calendar to do whatever it took to learn and understand Microsoft Teams. As a result of that particular client that I'm talking about, we ended up doing about a dozen workshops in 2020, right? Because they liked the content, they liked the engagement. I adapted to their preference, and as a result gave more business. If I said, no, I only use Zoom, nope, they would have said, okay, bye. Recorded video pre-study, right? So, I started to do pre-recorded video as part of these corporate programs that we do. If we talk about one module, for example, there'll be about 1 hour of pre-recorded video that the participants can learn at their own time and their own pace. There's little quizzes and questions. I can check the back end to see who's watched it, who's done the quizzes and everything. Then we do the live webinar, and then we do the group coaching. And this was something I'd been putting off for a long time as well. Well, thanks to lockdown, it forced me to innovate. Now, here's a couple of tips, guys, on how we can basically be more open and more receptive to innovation. So this is what they call the innovation adoption life cycle. So basically, think about Facebook, right? Let's take an easy example. Back in the day, there were people that were on it right from the very, very beginning. They're called innovators. Then the next group, and this is just a random selection of the population, right? Obviously, different countries and different, Wi-Fi signals will play a difference in that. But then you have what we call the early adopters, then the early majority, then the late majority, means they're late to pick up and to join that innovation. And then we have the laggards. The laggards are basically the dinosaurs, right? So if we look at Facebook, you can probably think you have friends that were on it from the beginning, then you had friends that joined it a bit later, and then you joined whenever you joined, and then your parents just joined Facebook last week, right? Those kind of people would be in this laggard section over here. So there's no criticism or judgment here. It just know, and another example is cryptocurrency, right? And again, I'm not saying what cryptocurrency is good or bad. What I know are there were people that innovated early back in 2011. They're sitting on 20 Bitcoins now, and they're doing a little dance in their living room right now. And then there were people that got in about around 2015, and then maybe people that got in around 2017 and 2018. And then there's a few of us now thinking, this might be worth taking a look at. And then in 5 or 10 years, someone will say, what's this cryptocurrency thing? Let me take a look at that, right? So this is the cycle of any new innovation that's coming out into the market, right? Now, what your job is, guys, is, some of us are really into technology and we love it, and we read all of the articles and the blogs and we check out all of that things, and we love into technology. And if that's you, then chances are you are going to be one of these innovators or early adopters, right? And that's cool. Now, for most of us dinosaurs, and of course this is a generalization, we're either early majority, late majority, or laggards. So you don't have to know everything that's happening in the innovation space at this moment in time. So the strategy that works very, very well for me is I befriend, I get to know, I am friends with people who are innovators and who are early adopters. In other words, those kind of people they're at the forefront. They're always reading these blogs and articles, and they're, you know, checking on what's happening in Microsoft and Zoom and all of these other things. They actually understand cryptocurrency and all of these kinds of things. In my experience, when I speak to people like that, they are essentially a role model. In other words, they have innovated, they have adopted that innovation, that technology, that whatever it is, and they've kind of learned it by doing it, right? They've probably made some mistakes along the way. Then by the time that I talk to them, well, they've kind of gone through all of that trouble, all of that drama, all of those speed humps. So now when I ask them about it, they are like a role model because they've already gone through it. So as they share either best practices, or in a world of so much innovation at the moment with so many options, they can give me a recommendation based on their experience. Yeah, so it's just like a role model, and we all know what a role model is. So who are some good examples of role models? Kids, your children, nieces and nephews, you know, kids of your brother or your sister or whoever, someone that you work with, a co-worker, just your friends, just someone that you know and someone that you trust, right? So if you're looking to install, you know, what was I searching for some time back? An organizer, like to manage kind of to-do lists and things like that. I wanted a digital to-do list. So I just reached out to some of my network, some of the people that I know, because I was doing some searching on Google, and there's literally 200 different apps and things like that for managing your digital task list and your to-do list. And I was like, whoa, overwhelmed. How can I save myself some time? Why don't I ask someone who's already using a specific app or software, get their feedback, right? Speak to 2 or 3 people like that, and then I can make a more intelligent decision in a much, much shorter period of time. I can look at those recommendations, I can, you know, go through, and then I can make an informed decision myself, right? Find someone already successfully using that technology, whatever it is, whatever digital innovation it is, find someone that's already using it. Now, you can do research on the web, and you'll find articles and you'll find all sorts of bits and pieces. Just be mindful there, guys. A lot of these articles about a specific piece of software, that is often written by the people that created that software. But the way they write it is very clever, and you don't know it's like the boss of that company or the PR person of that company or the marketing person of that company. They make it seem like an independent review. So what you want is a kind of detached, independent, unsponsored article about that piece of technology, if that makes sense. Now, tell me, guys, what other strategies do you have to be able to get to know other innovators or early adapters? Please share with me into the chat box now. How do you do it? How do you find out if something is worth, you know, spending your time and or money on being able to innovate in a specific area? Please pop that into the chat box now. Oh, nice one, Siva. Yeah, get a mentor who's been developing innovators, right? So find an expert in the innovation space. They will have their finger on the pulse of all the good stuff that's coming up. It's going to save you hours and hours of time fumbling around in the dark to know what's going to work or not. You can try and you can make mistakes, Jess. That can work. It can also cost you money, and it can cost you a lot of time in the end. So what we're looking for here, this kind of concept of finding a mentor, someone who's already done it, this is what's going to save you a lot of time, a lot of stress, and potentially a lot of money as well. Follow KOLs on Twitter, add questions to Quora, reading case studies. They often contain very practical insights. Oh, Carlos. Thank you, Carl. Great to see you, brother. Yeah, so you get the point here, guys, right? Now, let's obviously you can do some research, right? And you can, read online reviews of the best apps. Sue, you are reading my mind tonight. I like that a lot. Right now, be be careful there. Some of those top 10 lists, they are sponsored by the creator of that app, right? So just be mindful of that, and it can be okay, right? Just know that their opinion might be a little bit more biased. So if you're looking at those top 5 or top 10 or whatever, just see that it's more of an independent, either case study or review, so that it's non-biased. Yeah. Learn from YouTube. Yep, exactly. Whatever I do, guys, so my personal process is I will speak to people who are in that space. And I can remember Carl, we talked about databases many times over the years, didn't we? Which database do you use? Which database, which autoresponder do you use, right? So, you know, Carl knows his stuff. He's in this digital space. I'm a dinosaur. And so you find the mentor, right? And it can be multiple mentors, by the way. Mentors are not jealous of other mentors typically. So you speak to some people in the know, you get 2 or 3 or 4 recommendations, right? You do your due diligence, you check it yourself, you read the articles, you do the research, then you get a 7-day free trial or a 14-day free trial and you try it out, right? Try it before you buy it, right? So for example, the software that I use for hosting the pre-study videos that I do for the corporate trainings in our public trainings, oh my goodness, I procrastinated on that for a year until finally I kind of got clear on this model. I spoke to some people that I knew, I narrowed it down, I got the free trials, I tested it. I just uploaded any old videos that I have to check the functionality to be able to build it. And then I checked to see what it would look like from the customer's point of view, the student's point of view as they went through it. And I only needed to do that with 2 of them. One of them was a standout. The one I use is called Podia. It's quite cost effective. Does it have all the bells and whistles? No. Does it really need it? At this level that I'm at as a dinosaur? No. It's functional and it does its job for now. It gave me the agility to get something uploaded and out there sooner rather than later. You know, perfectionism is like, it's going to slow you down. It's like walking around with concrete boots. So, you know, you can do your research, you can make your decision and then just act. Yeah. And I remember once I decided, then it's like, okay. And then I got in front of the camera here and then I shouted at the computer for about a day and a half. And then I did some very basic editing and then I was able to upload it to get it out there sooner rather than later. Awesome. Excellent. Okay. So tell me now, this is definitely, guys, where I need your help here. What new digital innovations are happening right now? So who can tell me what's happening out there in the world at the moment right now that might be of benefit to the rest of us on the call today? Now, again, cryptocurrency and blockchain, again, I know nothing about crypto, guys. Let me tell you the quick process that I went through just last week. So I'd been procrastinating for about 3 years. I thought it was a big scam for the longest time. It might still be. I don't pretend to know anything about it, but I thought, that's interesting. What an interesting game to play. And so I did nothing and I did nothing and I did nothing. You know, getting a digital wallet and doing, you know, checking this coin and that coin and the secure, it was all in the too hard, the unknown and the fear basket. And then last week, one of my very good friends, he's been successfully trading crypto. And I thought, why don't I just ask him? So I asked him, what is the, you know, the wallet that you use where you actually do the trades and all of that? He gave me a name to that. I said, which coins are trading well at the moment? He gave me a list of coins and I asked him a few more questions and I thought, you know what? I've got nothing to lose, you know? And by the way, crypto for me at the moment is like going to the casino. I don't know what's going to happen. And so I thought, okay, I'm willing to lose this money, right? To play the game, to put it all on a number on the roulette wheel. And so I followed his advice. And within 1 hour, I'd set up the wallet, I transferred some money, and I made my first trade, all within an hour. So most of it was mindset, guys, and he gave me the strategy. He gave me some of the best practices and tools that he was using for me to be able to model his strategy to get the result. Now, I don't know if it's going to work or not. I'll tell you in a few weeks. Right? Nanotechnology, combining VR and animate in history lesson. Yeah, imagine using VR and walking around like with the dinosaurs and that kind of stuff. Quantum computing. What else, guys? Tell me what else is happening. Is there anything else we need to be aware of out there at the moment? Yeah, augmented reality, RPA, robotic process automation. Yeah, chatbots. One of the statistics that I read was that almost 80% of businesses are starting to use chatbots. I think that's a bit high, but there's many. AI or cognitive analytics, they're calling it. Overall digital experiences, personalized digital experiences, and so on. So the only wrong move, guys, when it comes to digital transformation is not to make any move at all. So in other words, if you're going to stay stuck in that comfort zone, then you're going to adapt at some point and you'll be on that lower part of the cycle. You'll be in that laggard step. So what is it that you need to do to embrace these technology, this digital innovation? Because remember, guys, you shared with me at the start, you gave me some examples where you resisted, and then you finally did it. And then when you did it, the results were good, great, and awesome. So we know this at a fundamental level that when we do it, the results are 99% of the time outstanding. So based on what we've shared and learned together today, what is one digital innovation that you plan to implement within the next 7 days? Go ahead and put your answers into the chat box, please. And we'll wrap it up there. Please tell me, guys, what is one, based on what you've learned today, and maybe you've been considering, you've been procrastinating, you think, should I, shouldn't I? Based on what we've learned today, what is one digital innovation that you're going to implement in your life? Trying things out more before choosing. Yep. Oh, Siva, email responders, brother. It's going to save your life, because then you can focus on the things that you're passionate about, which is creating content, delivering content, writing articles, doing webinars, adding value, contributing to the planet, trading, WhatsApp business, and setting up an online course. Nice one, Sylvia. Awesome, guys. Awesome, awesome, awesome. Well, look, guys, thank you all so much for joining us today. As you know, we've got courses coming up in March. We've got the NLP 4-in-1 with some special offers for you. We've got the ICF coaching program with special offers for you. I'll email the details for you a little bit later, plus a link to the recording of this. I've just turn the cameras on for a second. There he is, Carlos and Baby B in the house. Michael, Siva, thank you. Sadek in Bangladesh, Jess. So great to see you all, guys. Thank you for joining us, Sylvia, as always. Hi. Thank you so much. I wanted to have a bit of fun today and kind of poke fun at my dinosaur self. So I hope you guys had as much fun as I did. See you somewhere in the digital ether soon. Stay safe, stay awesome, and see you when I look at you. Bye for now.